You feel that heat rising? This is the war inside Black America. What if that diaspora war on your timeline isn't a war, but a family finally setting its own table? You've seen it. The comment sections are a war zone. A blazing line is being drawn, pitting brother against sister. On one side calls for broad Pan-African unity. On the other, a fire is rising, screaming, "Wait, not so fast." This is the video of that fire. A lineage and a political awakening shaking what it means to be Black in America. The world calls it division, even hate. But what if it's not a collapse, but a clarification? Not division, but the awakening of a people reclaiming a history, culture, and political destiny that is brutally, uniquely their own. To understand the heat, you have to understand the term, Foundational Black American, FBA. For supporters, this isn't a hashtag, it's a lineage. It's a political identity for those whose ancestry traces directly to American chattel slavery and Reconstruction. People whose ancestors were foundational to building this nation through forced labor, not immigration. This isn't about skin color. It's about a bloodline tied to the specific culture created in the fires of the American South. The blues, jazz, hip-hop. Our culture was birthed here under brutal oppression. For decades, that specificity has been erased. The terms African American and Black have been stretched to include almost anyone of African descent, regardless of history. FBA argues this is a political tactic. By grouping everyone under one banner, the specific debt owed to the descendants of American slavery gets ignored. If you erase the lineage, you erase the debt. This awakening is an act of self-preservation. It's a declaration that our history isn't a metaphor, and the justice we are owed is not a community potluck for everyone. The fight for reparations and targeted policy belongs to the specific descendants of those who built this country for free. That claim is non-negotiable. Now, let's be honest about the other side. Critics have called the movement MAGA in blackface, a selfish, short-sighted idea that creates division when we need unity most. And that counterargument is powerful. Black liberation has always been tied to Pan-Africanism. Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican, organized millions of Black Americans with a vision of global Black power. Kwame Ture, born in Trinidad, gave us the cry of Black power in America. Their point is that our strength lies in coalition because white supremacy is a global enemy. From that perspective, the FBA framework looks like nativism, building walls instead of bridges. Critics see it as an internal squabble that only serves white supremacy, which profits from a fragmented community. They see caricatures of African and Caribbean immigrants, accusing them of trying to leech benefits. They ask, when we all face systemic racism, is this the time to check passports within our own family? To critics, this isn't an awakening. It's a circular firing squad. This is a deep, complex conversation about who we are. If you find this breakdown valuable, subscribe. We're building a space for exactly this kind of dialogue, without the easy answers. So, is it an awakening or a division? What if it's neither? What if this is a war for a definition that American society has systematically denied us? The FBA argument isn't that other Black people don't face racism. The point is that the debt for 250 years of slavery, followed by Jim Crow and mass incarceration, is specific to a lineage. This isn't about social hierarchy. It's about political clarity. Think about it. Other ethnic groups, Italian Americans, Irish Americans, can define their history and advocate for themselves without being called divisive. The FBA movement demands that same right to self-categorize. This isn't a rejection of the diaspora. It's about establishing a home base. Before there can be global solidarity, the family has to know who it is. FBA supporters see it as an extension of Black Power's call for self-determination. And why now? Because the language of justice has been watered down. Resources meant to address slavery's legacy get broadened under diversity, often benefiting everyone but the intended recipients. FBA is a defensive move against that confusion. This isn't hate. It's the exhaustion of a people watching their identity get co-opted. The heat you feel is fire burning away ambiguity. It's a declaration of sovereignty, not war. In the end, this isn't just an argument over a name. It's a fight for the soul of America. It's a movement demanding this country finally look its oldest, most foundational population in the eye and call them by their name. This isn't a family feud. It's a family meeting. The agenda is to recognize who is in the room and what they are owed. The lines aren't meant to keep people out, but to finally, after 400 years, define what is ours. This isn't division, it's definition. And for a people who have been undefined for centuries, that might be the most revolutionary act of all. The conversation doesn't end here. Share your perspective in the comments. What does this awakening mean to you? If you believe this dialogue matters, subscribe and join in. Let's talk about it. Family business.